minute, fella. Look here.
Stand by.
One for C-Lab, two for Troy Eagle, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Broadcasting live from inside the Power Band, this is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, the Wolverine, along with my faithful companions, Jarhigo.
Hi.
And special guest this week, Michael Booblazard.
How's it going?
Also known as Chad. Good, Michael. Folks, welcome to the show. This week we're talking about the 1988 and possibly all-time animated classic Akira, or as pronounced in the movie, Akira.
Akira.
Let's start the show. Hi, Lev. Maglev.
This was a really good movie. This is a fantastic example of Japanese animation. When I was a kid, it just totally blew my mind. It's beautiful. It's amazingly animated. It's I don't know. For me, I think it's like one of those things where it got me into Japanese animation. It was definitely probably the same for a lot of people. It was one of those movies that just kind of came out and it was a bit of a cult hit. And I think one of the attractions is like everyone in the lunchroom at school was all watching the same shit and talking about the same shit. And it was kind of based on what random stuff you could find. Like if you could find something that no one else had seen before, it kind of gave you a bit of nerd cred. And it totally changed with the internet. So yeah, I feel like this was kind of one of those things that once you knew about it, it totally blew your mind. It definitely blew my mind. Yeah, and it had a good plot, great visuals. It was great.
Wait, hold on a second. Are you sure it has a plot?
Are you sure? Very funny, yeah. I was just when you were giving your high-level spiel there, I was just, sorry, Michael Booblazard, when you were giving your high-level spiel there, I was just picturing you walking into the lunchroom and there was Gozer from Ghostbusters going, "Are you a god?" And you just say, "Akira." And then you just explode like Tetsuo. Just like crappy sandwiches and sloppy joes everywhere.
Sloppy Joe.
You had an arm made out of sloppy joes.
There you go, dude. Now we're cooking, man. I love it.
You tried to like bond with the lunch table and you were all distressed about it.
Mm-hmm.
So great nugget here. The movie consists of 2,212 shots, 160,000 single pictures, 2 to 3 times more than usual, using 327 different colors, another record for an animated film.
But I'm talking about.
Yeah, 50 of which, the colors, were exclusively created for this film.
It shows. It's there's very few animated features of that era, certainly, that held a candle to it.
So this was also, there's a little bit more here. The reason for the statistic is that most of the movie takes place at night, a setting that is traditionally avoided by animators, which is, I mean, that right there just says it all.
That's interesting. I never thought about how night would be more complicated, but that's interesting.
Yeah. Essentially, they came up with a different color palette than they usually use for, they're like, okay, what color is this thing in the daytime? Like, what does it look like at nighttime? And then they adjusted things. Like, very interesting.
Very cool.
Very technical. Yeah.
And that they just went ahead and did it is just awesome.
And it's a great effect. I mean, good God. It still looks amazing.
Oh, man.
Like, I watched Flash Gordon in HD the other week, and it looked like it was filmed with a video camera.
Yeah.
It looked weird, like it didn't look right. Like it lost its like charm. It looked like a soap opera. It didn't look like a film. And sometimes that happens when you like upscale things. And this movie just looks fucking beautiful. It's amazing.
I gotta say, as a quick digression, like I find a lot of stuff when I watch it now in 4K, it looks too weird, like that soap opera kind of feel, and it bothers me. I want to see it. I like watching stuff in like the DVD quality, and certain stuff like older than that, like Flash.
Yeah, there's only so much refinement you can get out of the source material.
Right, exactly.
Well, it starts to pull me out of the movie and out of the story, which I don't like.
Yeah, I had that with Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok. I watched it at a buddy's house. And
There you go.
He had like some weird mode turned on his TV, and it looked terrible. And I actually didn't like the movie at all. I was like, this movie fucking sucks. Like I hated the movie. Like I didn't like any of it. And then I went back and watched it after you guys were like, you're an idiot. And I was like, wow, this is like one of the best movies ever. So
Ever.
they can totally pull you out of it, man.
No, definitely.
Yeah, little Vaseline on the lens goes a long way to
It really does.
skewing your vision of things. But this source material was so good that it shines, man. It was beautiful.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
I don't know about you guys, but I found I didn't remember this. I thought I remembered it, but I totally didn't remember much of this at all.
Yeah, I think I probably found this thing in my early 20s. There's no way I watched this in high school. It was not even, that kind of stuff wasn't even on my radar. But in my early 20s it was. And I remember seeing it and just being blown away at how excellent the animation is. And I think that's probably mostly the highlight here. I mean, is there a story? Yeah. It seems, as we've said when we've talked about other films, it's been copied probably so many times now that we've seen the copies. So when you go back and watch it, you're like, oh yeah, ho-hum, you know. Not that makes it bad. It's the originator, but I didn't really get it when I was younger. And I, like you said, Chad, I didn't remember anything. All I could remember was that damn bike and people running around screaming, Kaneda!
Tetsuo!
And that, Ben, yeah. You know, but like beyond that, I didn't remember anything. You know, stuff came back to me as I watched it, like, you know, the weird sort of green goblin children and then Tetsuo kind of turning into the blob. But, you know, it was definitely great. It was still great, you know. It's so visually stunning. And the music is not amazing. I'd say it's probably the weakest part of it, aside from the questionable plot. But, you know, it was still awesome to watch, man. And I was intent on not taking notes and just kind of getting absorbed in it, which I did, even though I had to do it in a couple of chunks. It was great.
I'm with both of you, and I'm apart from both of you. I did raise the question, but I think this movie definitely does have a plot, but it doesn't hold your hand at all. It doesn't give you any backstory. It doesn't tell you what the fuck is supposed to be happening. You just have to try and figure it out for yourself the entire time. And, you know, I both can empathize with people who don't have the patience or something like that. But also for me, after, you know, I mean, I haven't seen this movie a ton of times. Maybe this might be like my 10th watching or something along those lines. It's one of those ones that I think I've wisely sort of, I discovered it and I watched it a bunch and then I kind of shelved it for a while. I haven't watched it in a long time. Not since my 20s, but I will definitely agree with the fact that the animation is it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie to watch. And just the fact that it's hand animated, which is something that I don't know if you'll ever see it again because it's the hard way to do things.
Likely not.
Well, likely not. You know, I mean, people do beautiful animation now with computers, et cetera. And, you know, I don't want to detract from that. But, you know, when you realize this stuff was all like literally touched with a paintbrush, it's pretty fucking amazing. What else did you touch on the soundtrack? And I kind of agree with you that sometimes it's a weak point, but sometimes it's really excellent.
Perfect. Agreed.
Sometimes it kind of drags you out of the movie because it's a little, I don't know, intense or maybe like not right for the part, or it doesn't seem like it's right for the part. But also that's kind of cool too, you know. And I like that the soundtrack sounds futuristic without actually using a lot of, you know, synthesizers or things like that.
Dumb, futuristic sounding music, like we're trying to make it futuristic. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like shit like that. You know?
Yeah, I do when it's done right, yeah.
But, you know, there's just like those like, you know, wood timber sound, you know, like it's kind of like a vibraphone or a mellophone or something, but it's very like staccato, short notes. I don't know what it's called. But there's sort of those, you know, sounds, and it's like very traditional instruments, but the way it's arranged, it sounds sort of futuristic. So
definitely feeling you on that. I like how they used he seemed intent on using a lot of traditional Japanese instruments and music, to tell the stories.
Yeah.
It was a cool juxtaposition between that and, the obvious sci-fi nature and setting.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of choral vocal stuff and
Yes.
just like weird guttural sounds, and it's very interesting. Yeah.
Is that the same voice actor as the Malord from Game of Thrones?
Strangely,
I believe
yes.
it was. Yes.
That's the first nugget of the show.
There you go. First one.
Of course, they had the dude that crashed into the toxic waste vat in RoboCop to do the
Totally.
Special ADR guest, Emil from RoboCop.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, there's Kaneda's theme, which is like it's very percussion driven. There's sort of like weird, like it's sort of like an exercise in like polyrhythms. There's like crazy drums going on, and then there's like these very. I've seen footage of it, and I don't know what they're called, but like these very staccato, sort of wood block xylophone sort of tone instruments that are carrying a harmonic melody over the crazy drum stuff, and it's really cool. Like that about sums it up for me. Like if you hear that, it's just very unique, and it sounds totally futuristic, but it's all like very analog, instruments. There's nothing that's there's no synthesis or computers being used there. It's just people playing shit, and it's cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, the other thing too was I noticed too, or that jumped out at me rather, was that there's some really great organ sections.
Yeah, definitely.
Talking about using a lot of like wind type instruments, because an organ really is an air instrument, and it jumped out at me because it reminded me of Interstellar. I watched the most incredible documentary about just the damn music in Interstellar and how they came upon using the organ and the whole genesis of that and where they recorded it and all of that. And there was a couple of sections with some really fantastic organ music, and it totally reminded me of Interstellar. It was great.
Yeah. Good comparison.
I saw a little nugget actually that all of the music for this was made before any of the, like, it was 100%. All of the music was completed before any of the animation was done.
Whoa!
I suppose reinforces your comment of sometimes it was not aligned with the scenery. So.
Yeah, it's interesting that there was like such a clear vision for it, though.
Mm-hmm.
So that the composer, like they knew, the composer knew what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
For the most part, their intuition was very correct. It's unique. It's very unique. There's nothing else like it out there.
No.
Except for Interstellar, of course.
But you could see it taking cues from the Akira / Ghost in the Shell kind of weird music genre. Like in the late 80s, it was the first time I had encountered such dramatically soundtrack / score stuff. So I could see how it would have been quite influential on something like it. And I believe they actually mentioned that Interstellar was hugely influenced by this movie, so that might even be a big part of it.
Oh, wow, not a huge surprise there. Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad to hear that, man, because I actually thought about that when I was watching it, finishing it up today, rather. I was like, wouldn't that be weird if Nolan was, like, influenced by this movie? And turns out he was, so there you go. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool, man. It kind of feels plausible that these guys could have been sitting around a table and just talking about this, making the soundtrack, and been like, yeah, let's not do the synth thing because the synth was so poppy at the time and super popular. So it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it also kind of reminded me of this Ghost in the Shell soundtrack, which I love. It's really eccentric and weird soundtrack, but I've definitely been known to listen to it from time to time.
Now I gotta find a copy of that movie. Betty and I were talking about that at dinner the other night, and there's a Ghost in the Shell 2.0 on Hulu, but we agreed that we didn't think that was it. I gotta find the original.
The Standalone Complex is like the cartoon or whatever.
I have no idea what it means. I'll find out.
There's lots of...
Is it like the animated one or the...
Yeah, there's lots of different offshoots of Ghost in the Shell. So,
okay,
as far as I know, I know of at least a few. So,
could be like a remaster, which would be fine.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's not the ScarJo version, though.
Yeah, no. Oh God, no, it's not that. It's animated. ScarJo. Ugh, that should be a death.
But that I said ScarJo.
You used the term ScarJo.
Yeah, now that you said it, just that the term exists at all, and some Dingleberry came up with it.
That somebody just invented it, period, yeah.
I'll take it because it's kind of a cringy movie, but I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. So I'll just die.
Interesting.
I'll just
Really?
All right, there you got yourself a death, dude. Sorry, Michael Bublazer. I want to go back to your comment about the music. I dig that thought about, 80s was so synth heavy. Like, let's not do that. I think that that's astute, and I think that it was a really good direction to go. It's like, let's not use music of the contemporary time even to make it futuristic. Let's take it back old school, and I dig that, especially for like a '88 movie where that was sort of the norm. To just use whatever was around.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, maybe compared to like a Blade Runner, I mean, both this and Blade Runner are practically the same kind of level generally in the sci-fi universe, and I feel like this didn't do the synthy thing, but Blade Runner did with Vangelis, and to great effect.
Definitely, dude.
Yeah. Well, it worked sometimes, it didn't work other times. I think the idea in the 80s was like, let's get a guy to do the soundtrack with us in clavier because it's cheaper than hiring an orchestra.
That's true.
And that worked to great effect sometimes and to not so great effect other times. But this is a different animal.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But I think Chad's comment is right. This is definitely in the animation. This is like kind of the Blade Runner of the animation world. It's like it set the bar for so many things, often copied, but never really outgunned, maybe. Maybe that's not the right word, but it's just so beautiful to watch, man. Like Blade Runner.
Yeah, maybe it's like, it's kind of something for me to presume that these guys sat around a table and were like, oh yeah, synth's popular, let's do something else. But maybe it's just something that, because I'm not Japanese, I have no idea, and using traditional stuff is the way to go here, and maybe there's a precedent for it, or I don't know. But I kind of feel like maybe it just got lost in translation a bit, and I like it either way. I still think it's, a really good soundtrack, even if, whether it's synthy and sitting around a boardroom table or whether it's like super traditional or not, I don't know. But I really dug it.
Michael Bublazer, did you just intentionally drop that ScarJo reference?
Did I drop a ScarJo reference?
You just said lost in translation.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
Interesting things happen when just
Here we go.
you open... When you hit record in Valverde, weird things happen.
There you go, man. Totally. Yep. Didn't do that on purpose, but I love it.
Okay. You don't have to die.
Thus far, the episode is ScarJo and the soundtrack.
Yeah, I'm gonna like go down a ScarJo cul-de-sac and talk about Black Beauty.
Yep. Black Beauty. Wait, what?
Black Beauty is like an old Scarlett Johansson debut film or some shit with Robert Redford.
I think we should talk about ScarJo for the next 15 minutes.
Well, everybody will be, joyous to know that because of the live action version of just Ghost in the Shell, this movie will never have a live action.
You don't think so?
Even though Taika Waititi was on version to do it and was on
deck,
whatever, you know what I mean.
I do, but you know what? Not to go down a rabbit hole here, but if him or Denis Villeneuve considered to do it, I would probably raise one eyebrow in intrigue. But that's it.
I was thinking as I was watching it today that it could be done. Like, it's not impossible, but somebody's going to hate it,
Likely us.
Do you guys think that like this would be a harder thing to make live action, or like Dune? Because Dune would be pretty hard. These would both be pretty hard.
A really good question.
Well, it's a different media, I mean, you already have images in your head for how Akira looks, whether you're coming from the manga or whether you're coming from the movie. Like, you have an idea of what it looks like.
Great point.
Whereas Dune is, if you've read the books and you haven't seen any of the movies, then you have your own vision in your head. But it's similarly hard to, I imagine the similarity there is trying to do it right,
Yes.
Maybe they should just remake this one with like an all-white cast and it takes place in New York or something.
Ugh, gross. I just want to die. I'm dying. That's it. I'm dead.
They were apparently going to do it in California.
Oh, no. Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me so mad. The idea of them doing that in California would just fucking ruin it. I can't believe they would do that.
Well, I don't know that they weren't going to try and make it seem like it was in Tokyo, but they were going to do it in the United States for tax reasons, as far as I understand. Yeah.
When like digitize all the palm trees and homeless people or some shit. I'm sure that would have worked well.
The thought of a live action remake in New York City makes me want to die. Because that sounds like the biggest recipe to a total disaster.
Suddenly, Kaneda becomes Kenny and Tetsuo becomes Tony.
Totally. Yeah, a bunch of white bread.
Oh, no doubt. It's like, see, I can picture it already. Crappy, poorly casted, just middling music. And then the whole thing is built around the CGI effects with a terrible script. And you just want to wet your pants and leave.
Maybe it just needs a villain because, there aren't enough villains in this and they could have Gillette Mach 3 Shredder.
Totally, dude. Shreddy Kreuger. And then we could do like 3 endings, because that seems to be a theme that we've seen lately.
Yeah, and it would have multiple endings, one of which is hobbits like crying in the harbor.
Dude, I am on board for that. New York Harbor, 3 hobbits standing in a boat crying and calling Gandalf over and over. No, the 4th hobbit has to be Dildo Bogpelt.
Totally.
Undoubtedly.
The full-size Middleditch as Dildo Bogpelt.
Mm-hmm.
Dildo, can you blow us into the smoke thing?
Dude, I'm kind of on board with this thing now.
It's getting better. It's getting better.
Maybe they should make this one a musical, too.
Akira the musical?
Yes. Oh, man.
Wow.
Akira, where are you? I'm right here under the rubble. Where's Tetsuo?
Nobody tell what's his face?
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Miranda, yeah.
From visionary director Lin-Manuel Miranda comes Akira the musical.
One of the things that I picked up on this viewing that I didn't really pick up before was how Tetsuo's decision making was like really well aligned with his shit kicker kid who was always getting bullied, and I could totally see the plausibility of him, getting power and then totally just blowing it because he's just, always had his ass beaten and now he can explode people at a whim, and how it got out of control for him and he, turned into a giant fucking fetus blob dude. So it was interesting to see the plausibility of a teenager doing that, because when I was a kid, I definitely was probably like, yeah, cool, man. Whereas now I'm like, yeah, no, that's clearly a immature moron doing stupid shit and causing the end of the fucking world.
Mm-hmm. There's a part where Kay is talking about Kaneda and his powers, and she's like comparing she's like, well, people build things and they farm and they accrue things, like that's what people do, but an amoeba just like eats everything around it. So like what happens when you give like an amoeba godlike powers? And that's like sort of her way of like describing like what's happening to Tetsuo.
Wow, I totally forgot about that reference. Yeah.
And so do you feel like it like implies that he has no control over his abilities to keep it in check from like the perspective of the amoeba, or like that any human would fall for the same trap?
Yeah. I think essentially she's saying an amoeba is going to do what an amoeba is going to do. Like she's saying Tetsuo is going to do what Tetsuo is going to do.
Yes.
Like his background and his personality and like everything he's gone through is going to align in a way that's going to make him abuse his power. And like, of course, he had been warned about abusing the power by like, the other there's a word for it, and I can't think of what the name of it is. The other psychic kids There's like a special word for it in the movie, and I can't remember what it is. But they warn him. They're like, dude, you can't ride it that hard or you're going to get fucked up. Like you're going to go out of control. And everybody's warning him about it. And he just doesn't care because this is his first taste of real power, and he immediately goes against all of his friends and, everything in his life.
Mm-hmm.
It seems pretty plausible that it would affect many people in that way. Maybe not all.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. A lot of people are fueled by like the shitty things that have happened to them in their lives.
Yeah.
The first thing they're going to go for is revenge and, self-aggrandizement,
domination,
and, what have you. Yeah.
Vengeance. Yeah. It kind of aligns with my comment from before about change. How before we were talking about the political stuff, and Chad, you were saying how if the political stuff wasn't there, it would be too much of a kind of flat, noir-y, Blade Runner-ish, whatever, and it all needed to be there. And I said that it was great because it was, that thread was concurrent, and then it was showing that, that people wanted change and needed change, and the change was going to happen no matter what. So tying that in with Ben's comment, like you could argue that the plot of the movie or the story is really about change and transformation, because, you see the people wanting the change and the establishment doesn't want the change and they're trying to prevent it and control the power and this sort of awakening that's happening, and then you've got Tetsuo and he's changing in his own way, and it's very different from the change that's going on, like the political change with the people as a whole. That's more like kind of upheaval and awakening and a paradigm shift, whereas his is just very, childlike or teen-like in its nature, or amoeba-like, So the comment of, amoebas are going to do what amoebas do, like it applies in so many levels in this movie, and they're all different because the meta comment there is that everything's going to do what everything does. And it's different depending on what the life form or the group is or the body is, and you see that throughout the film. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. And that ties in with kind of the like God worship, hero worship, Akira worship of some of the masses in the streets and stuff too. Like,
yes. And it's got a nice kind of sort of Messiah tie-in as well, giving a nod to, many different religions.
How nice it is. But
fair enough, yeah.
But it is a clear call out, yeah.
Yeah, it's a clear call out. Honestly, like it's, Tetsu finds himself out of his fucking depth really fast because he's a kid,
Yeah.
Exactly.
He has all these motivations and desires based on all the shitty things that have happened to him in his life, and his motivation is based on that, and then he just lashes out in all directions and then soon finds himself unable to reel it in, he just he literally turns into a testicle. Turns into a testicle blob with wires hanging out of it and shit.
Cyber testicle fetus blob,
which is horrifying. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that to happen.
No.
But the political stuff is interesting, but it all is kind of like a red herring, really, right? It doesn't really go anywhere. It's just kind of like just there. Like it's what people do, right? People,
yeah.
It's not, it has like the very little bearing on the actual story, except for like the collisions of the, except for like Kay meeting Kaneda, et cetera, like that kind of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
It's a realistic setting, though. Like it is a red herring, but it is like it's a plausible bed that the story lies in, I suppose. Especially nowadays,
totally. Yeah. Is hard to follow and fantastical, and perhaps plotless, some might say, as the movie is. Like it does root itself in some pretty plausible things.
Yeah, definitely.
Agreed. Even if it's just a collection of sort of themes and ideas, concepts, like it, they present well, and it makes you think, so it's not just eye candy. There's substance underneath it, which is good, and sick ass motorcycles.
to somebody who's seen it like numerous times, there's definitely substance. But, you know, for someone who doesn't want to look for it, they may not find it.
I totally agree. It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. I mean, it's like many science fiction movies that are, and I'm including live action in that as well. You know, if you're the people that are truly fans of it, you know, science fiction like that, they're gonna want to make those discoveries on their own. I think the average sort of viewer is not, and they'll be dismissive, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something there to enjoy, anyways. You know, it's like you come for the pretty artwork, and you stay
Sure.
for the content eventually. You know.
Yeah, no, that's well said. Actually, I agree.
And there's just like some kind of funny stuff on the surface too. You know, like there's just some goofy interactions between those kids in the local motorcycle gang, etc.
Well, that is, yeah, I agree, and I think that stuff it's cool and it's there for a reason. I mean, there's a lot of that. We really get like a hard dose of like the teen perspective. You know, even if it's like Neo Tokyo in the future, man. You know, it's.
Yeah.
You know, we see them doing very like teen things. And I like that, you know, that they took the time to like put that in there and flesh it out as much as they did, you know, because it paints the characters in the world well, so you can.
Yeah. In a certain light, anyways.
Well, yeah. That's what I mean. I'm just kind of stumbling trying to find what I'm trying to say here, but I think it paints them or showcases them for whatever they are, and it you know, sets the stage, you know, for the story or those characters part of the story and all of that stuff, because they really never, I mean, now that I'm thinking about what you're saying and what we're talking about, like they never really stop being teenagers throughout the movie. You know, it's like while the world itself is changing or undergoing a giant paradigm shift with the discovery of this power, there's still just teenagers riding around on motorcycles. Like he can't handle the power. He's just thinking about revenge. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then there's go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Like Tetsuo is driven with like trying to become more like trying to take over the motorcycle gang and be more powerful and take revenge, and
right.
You know, Kaneda is like trying to hook up with Kei, who's like an older woman, and you know, you know,
yes,
you know, Kari is still super obsessed with Tetsuo. Like, it's still like teen drama club stuff. But
yeah.
Totally.
No, it is. I never really thought about it like that. It carries through like all the way to the end of the movie when Tetsuo just kind of joins the rest of the psychic children and Akira in the world universe is reborn or whatever the hell happens there. It gets super 2001: A Space Odyssey at the end, you know.
It really does, yeah.
So it's kind of like Saved by the Bell meets Space Odyssey. Is that kind of what we're getting at here?
Pretty much.
Somehow.
Mr. Belding.
It's pretty strange to think about.
It's true, though.
It really is.
I mean, it's very obvious, like you say, but I hadn't put two and two together with just how teen drama-y it is.
That was quite astute, Chad.
Yeah, you think so? Thanks.
Yeah, it was.
At least once a conversation, I've got something, right?
I think that's the no. Often. I think that might be the show quote.
There you go.
2001 meets Blossom or whatever.
Post-apocalyptic Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell. Yeah, there you go. Better. Just to put it out there, I've never actually read the comic version of this, but from what I understand, one of the major differences is that Kaneda is just sort of like a comic relief, goofy character that doesn't really play much of a part in the story, and the author himself decided to make him like the sort of the protagonist in the movie because he's just more like relatable, I guess.
Yeah,
I thought he was more relatable.
Agree.
Yeah, I ended up picking up this comic back in the day in like, I don't know, 2007 or something. And I don't remember the comic relief stuff, but in the early chunk of the book, which is like twice as long as the movie or whatever in terms of material, Kaneda runs the capsule gang, and then after Tetsuo gets his powers, he ends up taking over the clown gang, and there's a whole bunch of back and forth where they fight each other, and have kind of gang wars and stuff. So it's a little bit more developed in that space. But yeah, I didn't know about the comic relief stuff. That's interesting. I don't remember that.
That actually explains a little bit more the sort of the rivalry, because I didn't really. One thing that wasn't clear, even in this watching now, was that like I was like, why are they against each other so much? Like I get the Tetsuo's, but the kind of the younger kid and Kaneda's always like, catch up, whatever, that kind of relationship. But I don't know. Then all of a sudden it was just like this. I couldn't figure out why Kaneda was trying to kill him at the end and shoot him. Like it just, I don't know. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But hearing the clown gang theory or thing from the comics, rather, that explains it a little bit more.
There's one point where he finds out that like, he like Kaneda, despite that he's kind of a goofball, like,
yep,
gets that like Tetsuo is like out of his depth and they're going after him and they're going to kill him because he can't control the power that he has. And he's kind of on board. He's like, oh yeah, I get it. Like he's not going to make it. So I don't want all these strangers to kill him. I'm going to do it because I'm his bro, like one of us. Okay. He says at one point, like one of us should be the one to do it,
Yeah.
So, oh, okay. I must have missed that, man. All right. That makes,
it's kind of in passing, but I definitely picked up on it this time.
He killed the one of the buddies in that biker bar too. Killed one of the other gang members.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Because he did say like, it's one thing to beat him up, but like we don't kill him, man. Like or something to that effect. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally kind of got Clockwork Orange vibes here with the kid gang thing. Definitely had similarities.
Definitely. Yeah, just like the ultra violence and like the rival, like weird themed rival gangs going after each other.
There's some other movie that I was getting vibes from, or got vibes from this. I can't remember. Oh no, it was a game actually, and I can't remember.
Mario 2, Super Mario 2.
Yep, Super Mario Kart.
Princess Peach with the turnips, dude. Totally. Yep.
No, there was a game for the PS3 number of years ago called Project something, but it was about a guy that gets infected.
Project Runway?
Yep, it was Project Runway. And the guy gets infected with a virus, and he turns into an amalgamation of Tim Gunn and Heidi.
Like a sloppy Joe arm?
Well, that's one arm, and then the other arm is Heidi and Tim Gunn.
Wow.
James Gunn?
Dude, no. Tim Gunn is like...
Tim Gunn.
Yeah, Tim Gunn and Heidi, they were the ones that were Project Runway, and now they have a new show.
Oh, you mean Heidi from Swiss Miss Cocoa Mix?
Oh my God. No. Heidi Klum.
He's kind of like the Max Headroom of fashion. Like he's...
Yeah. I never really had a Max Headroom thing, Ben, but I definitely see that. I really like Tim Gunn.
Kind of a Max Headroom vibe from that dude.
He does. He definitely has a Max Headroom vibe. I dig him because he's super like scrubbed and, appointed and professional, and I don't know. I just dig him. He's classy in a cool way.
Are we talking about Project Runway?
We are talking about Project Runway. Yes. This is real.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
I know. You are sorry.
I'm just going to apologize for this episode right now because we keep talking about anything but the movie.
But the movie. Yep.
Yeah, we could talk about the maybe we should get back to the Progeria kids.
Yeah, Progeria. What is that? The aging disease?
Yeah, Progeria, that aging disease that was in that one episode of the X-Files.
Oh, of course.
Are they like that because they're like taking some kind of like drugs to like hold back their powers?
That's the vibe I got, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I assumed too.
They were definitely creepy. It made for an interesting dynamic because they looked so kind of freaky, but they were so kind of powerful and yet gentle at the same time. Like they worked together and they had like control of their powers, and they, everything kind of came from the heart in a sense. Most things anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I really dug.
One of the cool things about this one was in Chocolate Rain, we were talking about the Bosozoku gangs.
Oh.
So I didn't know about them, but they're like biker gangs in Japan that teenage kids and they cause a ruckus. And I didn't know about them before Chocolate Rain, but now with this one, that's the same with these kids, and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, because they're like all circling around like Douglas. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all circling around because and then they cut off Andy Garcia's head because they heard his shitty singing at the karaoke bar.
I like it. We got a double dose of Japan here this month with a police academy in the middle sandwich.
Christ. I hate to digress again, but
it has to be done.
I had to finally look up Chocolate Rain because I didn't know what the fuck anybody was talking about.
Oh, really?
Oh, damn it.
And I'm not sure I understand why is it a meme?
It's just like a meme where this dude was putting it all out there and people were making fun of how stupid it was. And
okay.
I don't know. Just kind of took it on a life of its own.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of. But he actually, like, a lot of people really like him, man.
Yeah, but I think it was like people talking shit about him. And then like a group came to his rescue because they were like, nah, man, he's like putting it all out there. Leave him alone. And then there were like 2 camps.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the effect of it was it got stuck in my head.
No doubt. Easy to happen.
That's what happens, man. I got it stuck in my head, but my brain made up new lyrics for it.
That's what happened. Whatever was going on, I made it rhyme with Chocolate Rain or whatever.
Yeah.
That was the effect.
Yeah. I walked around for weeks saying it, and then if something reminds me of it, I'll just start singing it again for no reason.
Other than that, I was like, well, good effort, but your song needs like probably at least a bridge, if not a verse. That I'm presuming it's like a, more or less a chorus all the way through. But
yep.
Chocolate Rain, talking to Chad and Kev. Chocolate Rain.
Tazon Day.
Tazon Day, bro.
Day. Chocolate Rain. Ming was played by Max von Sydow. I mean, may as well be that disjointed.
Definitely. Chocolate Rain. This is not a K-Capshaw movie.
So you guys want to talk about Akira?
Yes, let us.
Can we talk about the opening? The opening was so good, and I don't know. It sucked me in, and the like Tron light trail bike thing. I just loved it.
The light trails are incredible.
So cool.
And the fact that they did that with animation, it's just with like hand-drawn animation is amazing.
Excellent work. I concur. Akira to my ready room.
Captain, I'm sensing something.
Let me get my 9-string Baliset so I can play Chocolate Rain. Number 1, Chocolate Rain.
Dude, you should do a Captain Picard Chocolate Rain.
Picard Chocolate Rain?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. That's a tough one. I'll try.
Chocolate Rain.
Chocolate Rain
is very sharp. Chocolate Rain.
Or maybe you got to do it.
I would like an Earl Grey very hot.
I was trying to do a Worf doing Chocolate Rain, but...
Chocolate Rain!
Dude, we are so off the rails.
This is
so off the rails.
So terrible.
Jesus Christ.
Chocolate Rain. I'm craving the blood of a live kolar beast.
I love how you guys just like add syllables just for the shit of it. You can't even get that right. It's funny.
No. We're trying to cram them in, that's why.
I liked the kind of school bits. There were a couple scenes where they're in the school and everyone's just like, fuck you, sitting in the seats and like yelling at the teachers, and then like the principal's sidekick dude punches them all in the face. Like, I kind of liked the delinquency kind of thread.
Mm-hmm.
It totally lines up with how you imagine them.
Pretty typical like teen life. Like they're like in vocational school learning about like repairing engines and shit, which you would think a bunch of kids in a motorcycle gang would be like, yeah, it's fucking awesome. Like, but they hate it. You know?
Yeah. It's super funny.
Just because somebody's trying to tell them what to do. Like,
but it's like the perfect example of how short-sighted you are as a kid. I thought the same thing when the engine was on the table. And it's just perfect. Because I've been there, where, I don't know.
You passed up something that was like really useful.
Yeah. And really something that you're interested in.
Just because you're like, fuck you can't tell me what to do.
Hang on, let me get my knife and cut off my nose to spite my face.
Pretty much.
Okay, so let's touch on the weird prune children and the crazy giganto nursery. That was a weird scene. I mean, they were weird, integral to the story, and the nursery was super strange too. Go ahead, Chad.
You kind of get like an interesting intro to them, and I wanted to touch on this when we were talking about the opening 10 minutes, but the scene where the dude is pulling the kid along and the kid's got a baseball hat and you don't pick up that it's like a prune kid for a bit.
Yeah.
And that scene where like the soldiers shoot him and he's like dripping blood, it's a really intense, like holy shit kind of scene. And the scene's confusing enough, and then you get this like green fucking prune kid and you're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Right.
You have no background. And
Yeah.
It's like, get the fuck out of here. Just go. Go. Get out here. Come on.
And so you kind of get introed there.
Stop screwing around.
And then the kind of next time you run across something as weird is the like Tetsuo hospital room weird milk fucking stuffed animal things, you know, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? And then it culminates in the nursery stuff, like you said. So it's an interesting thread, and it's confusing as hell. I remember back in the day just being like, I have no idea what this is, but whatever.
Oh
watch
my
some more
God.
violence, I guess.
No.
Totally, man. But I mean, again, the movie doesn't hold your hand. So
No.
you get to figure out that, you know, they're reaching out with their minds to contact him and
Try and influence him.
yeah, and we finally understand that, you know, as the story goes on a little bit, and you know, it's freaky and it's good, and
Yeah, it doesn't hold your hand, but when it explains itself well. And that's one of those scenes, the nursery thing, where like the giant teddy bear and the giant car and the giant rabbit, like those are the other kids manifesting to Tetsuo to try and like, you know, whatever, introduce themselves or push him in the right direction or kill him.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what they're trying to do, but you get that pretty quick, you know, like Tetsuo figures out what's going on, and they sort of like melt into their normal forms or whatever.
well, it's funny when he smashes them, like in the sort of the mind space, you know, like they kind of they lose their illusion forms, you know, and then we get to see who they really are, and you kind of can put together that it's them,
Exactly. Yeah.
you know, reaching out in their minds.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It makes sense that they would manifest to him in those ways, you know, like because they're kids, you know.
And well, I actually no, you're right, and I thought
as fucked up and weird as it is, that whole scene, like even starting with Tetsuo waking up in the hospital bed with like,
right,
you know, the little bear and the little car and the little rabbit like crawling up onto his pillow to talk to him. Anyway, he turns around and like all these toys have like turned into a giant teddy bear, and that's like leaking milk out of it. You know,
totally.
Like it's fucked up, but like,
well, they're also trying to help him too, man. You know, like
yeah, exactly.
There's a lot going on there, actually.
I don't know what they're trying to accomplish with that, but
yeah,
clearly they're trying to do something, you know, and for me, like the reveal was realizing that it was the three kids, you know, like the prune, as we will call them from henceforth, the prune kids.
The prune children.
The prune children, yes.
The lack of coherence of what they're trying to accomplish with the giant teddy bear stuff, I think I like, because, you know, a 5, 6, 7-year-old doesn't know how to articulate themselves. And so they're going to pick weird shit and do weird shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it kind of it's interesting in that sense. You know, the teenagers are acting like teenagers, but these kids are acting like kids, just like you said, Benny. You know, like they're doing their best to communicate with the tools they have available, but they're so inexperienced with life that they're just like, maybe if we were giant milk teddy bears, that would convince them. He's just like, fuck off.
Yeah,
kids.
yeah. No, you nailed it. That's exactly what I was going to say, Chad. It's exactly that. Yeah.
But it's also, again, it's, you know, it's one of those scenes that doesn't hold your hand, and but it's one of the ones that I feel like it resolves itself pretty quick. Like you figure out what's actually going on and what, you know, who's trying to do what, which isn't always apparent in the movie.
No, it becomes clear there for sure.
I definitely remember being, you know, 15 watching this and not really getting that though. So like, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting to put myself back in my 15-year-old self and not understand what's going on with the whole giant animal thing, and just how much that aligns with, you know, the 15-year-old characters just being like, what the fuck? Whereas now, like, it's much more obvious to me what they were going for with that, like what the story was going for. And maybe I'm just misremembering, but I remember not really understanding this movie when I saw it.
Oh my God. Yeah, same here.
I still kind of don't, but like I understand it a lot more.
I remember not understanding it as an adult because that was the first time I saw it. But
we understand it more on this viewing than we did originally, I would imagine. You know, like I would argue, for myself at least.
I'm not saying that I understand the movie or that I've got it down or anything, but I think I understand it more on this watching than I ever understood it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I do like the kids, though. I think I like that they kind of have a little, you know, a little super group where they, you know, try to help each other out, and they're like kind of against the scientists and the government people that have them under observation, and one of them tries to get away and stuff. So it seemed more like he wasn't actually trying to get away as much as he was abducted, though. So
no, he was being manipulated for sure by like, you know, whatever rogue political group.
Did you pick up on whether that was the same group that Kay was part of? I think it probably was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that's one thing that I completely missed back in the day when I was watching it, and this time I'm still trying to figure that one out. Like, is it the old guy with like the rabbit teeth that's like trying to run away with all the money and the bonds and shit? And
yeah,
like it's part of the whole political thing. But like, I was like, wait a minute, where was he and what was going on? How were the kids involved and why were they trying to take him? And like,
I kind of get the, like, he's trying to subvert the executive council because they're just a bunch of fuckheads who aren't making decisions. But in that attempt at subversion, it kind of blows up in his face. That's the best I can do.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. I got that. But like, I'm sure there's some, I knew for sure there was some subtlety I was missing because I didn't remember that part. So then like when he was trying to run away and like the other dude was chasing him and he was bleeding and, you know what I mean? Like, that whole thing, I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, that's totally, yeah, I agree. Like,
that'll be for resolving on the next viewing, I guess. But
I don't understand what he's trying to subvert. Like, what was he trying to do, begging on these rebels to take the kids? Like, does he want to take the kids to shut the program down? Does he want to take the kids to have the power, I guess, for himself? Like I
mean, the generalization that I heard was like, you know, everybody in Neo Tokyo is trying to amass power in some form or another, you know,
that's
any way they can. And that was like this guy's play at it, but it's not quite enough for me. Like that's one loose end I need to tie up.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. I like the scene where Rabbit Face dude's like, I underestimated the colonel in terms of the coup, but you still don't understand the underlying motivations of the rabbit dude.
Rabbit Face. I like that.
Everybody who's seen the movie knows who we're talking about. It's like
I knew exactly who you were talking about the second you said it.
Yeah, the little short politician dude who's the long hair and the
takes his barabons with him.
Yeah, he's totally got rabbit teeth.
Definitely. And he's got that weird, there's a hairstyle in COH that's literally his hair. I don't remember. It's like the scientist one or whatever. It's super weird.
It's totally true.
Yeah, I nailed it, I guess, because you're laughing. All kinds of interesting dynamics there about power, faith, letting go, change, paradigm shifts. Like, that's what the whole thing is about, you know?
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's just a shift in the political power of the executive committee that's driving him and the colonel and all the other knuckleheads around that Dr. Strangelove table.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of back and forth there too. You know, it's like they assert themselves. He asserts himself. You know, then they fire him. Then he kind of reasserts and takes it back. And you know, there's it's like a ping pong match. So you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little worried about that world. You know, it's sort of like, okay, now we're interested in the world to knuckleheads like Kaneda.
Yeah, right, totally.
No doubt.
Oops.
We'll see how that goes. But yeah.
You guys want to transition to bikes and bobs?
I want to call this segment Bikes and Bits and Bobs this week.
Okay.
Let's call this Bikes and Bobs.
Bikes and bits and bobs.
Bits and bikes.
It makes me think of cups and cakes.
What's cups and cakes?
Cups and cakes.
Cups and cakes. Oh, what good things mother makes.
What the fuck?
Oh, Spinal Tap, dude.
You're
dead.
I'm dead.
That's it. One death. You had a Matrix, and what was the other one?
Spinal Tap.
Oh, damn it. That's a death for me.
This is playing out like the bridge scene in Monty Python's Holy Grail.
What is your name?
What is the average airspeed of what is the average airspeed of a swallow? African or European? Well, I don't know that.
Ah! Bites and bits and bikes.
Bikes and bits and bobs and cups and cakes.
Bucks and bits.
Bikes and bits.
Got her exposed tits.
Oh my God. This is terrible.
Boo blazers.
All right, let's move on to bits and bobs and cups and cakes and bikes.
And bikes.
Bits and bobs. Bits and bobs.
So how about those bikes?
Yes. Well, Kaneda's bike is on the cover of the movie. It's
pretty
iconic
fucking sick.
And super freaking cool.
Yeah.
The Canada's bike was always the sick bike, but I kind of have a bit of a soft spot for like the orange wheeled sidekick bike from the shit kicker dude.
Yeah. I had the similar thought. I liked all the other bikes more this time now that I'm an adult, you know. I mean, it's obvious to go for the eye candy that's Kaneda's bike, but I think the other bikes are super cool.
Is undeniably cool, iconic. It's just amazing. But yeah, definitely this time I was like, you know what, man? What's Tetsuya's problem? He's cool, man. He's riding a cool bike. He's got like this cool like light, you know, like matching light teal like 3/4 jacket that goes with his cool, you know, light teal orange tired bike. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just different, you know. Like, why is Kaneda so? I mean, Kaneda's cool because he just insists that he's cool.
That's pretty much it, eh?
He's like the most assertive of the bunch, and that's why he's the leader. Doesn't mean that like the other guys aren't cool too. Like, what about the dude that's like wearing like the cool like skinny like 80s tie, and he's got like the like poofy hair and shit? Like,
yeah,
you know, the guy that didn't die in the bar with Tetsuya.
Yeah, and the guy that did die in the bar totally had the police academy like bun in the oven crop top kind of thing going on.
Yeah, and that dude too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they all passed 80s standards of cool for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm on board. That motorcycle. Whoop.
Ah.
See what I did there?
Love what you did there, buddy.
Yeah, the bikes were sick. And the like hover jet cart thing that they took in the elevator with the Gatling gun on the front was pretty sick too.
That thing was great too. I really enjoyed that. That whole sequence in the sewer with the fighting off the cart, you know, was really, really excellent.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was, but I couldn't really figure out why there were like flying, I don't know, skidoos with Gatling guns all of a sudden out of nowhere. Like,
well, the alarm went off. The alarm went off because Tetsuya was killing people, wasn't he?
Right. I just hadn't seen any like, you know, just randomly, you know, genie magic carpet flying items in the show up until that point. And there didn't seem to be anything. I mean, they were cool, but I was a little like, oh, right, well, there's these things now.
You kind of get the, like, creator wants to do a cyberpunk vibe and picks up on 82 Blade Runner and kind of Star Wars and stuff and kind of cribs a bit, for sure.
Whatever it is. I mean, they're totally cool. I love it. But I was a little, it pulled me out of it a little bit because it didn't seem like, I was like, well, then why isn't everybody riding these fucking things? Like, why are they just in this complex?
Yeah, why would you ride a motorcycle when you could ride that? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Now that you say it like that, I get
That's a good gripe at Kev right there, buddy.
Yeah.
I like it.
Solid.
Yeah. Nary a flying car or anything. You know, they're still like flying these like fucking 80s era giant helicopters, you know, with the prune kids in them. Like, why all of a sudden are hovering, you know, hover snowmobiles with Gatling guns? Like, what?
What the hell? Wow, I never thought about that. You're right. They are so completely out of place in the movie.
Yeah.
Huh.
I completely agree that they're not plausible, but I still think they're pretty cool.
I still think they're cool too. I just ever since the first time they popped up in the movie, I was like, where the fuck did these things come from?
Yeah.
I guess in the secret government facility, in the sewers or the, whatever it is of the secret government facility, they need some kind of special, high tech secret
Floaty shit.
Carts.
Floaty.
Hover carts. Hover snowmobiles.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the skidoo. I like when you said skidoo. That's a cool word.
It is a skidoo. Yeah, it is totally. Yeah. It's got they run on a Bombardier. 2-stroke.
Nice.
Sorry.
No. That was good.
I like it. Bits and bobs. I am a huge fan of the opening atomic blast sequence and the end of the movie kind of city exploding sequence. Like, it's just beautifully animated, and I don't know, it just really shows the kind of, power of that explosion. And there's a lot of implausible shit in there, in traditional manga anime style, where it's like, oh, I'm right next to a fucking satellite bombardment laser, but I didn't get my face melted off kind of thing. But it's very C4 in the trunk of a car, Damon Wayans kind of thing. But
yeah.
But I still love the eye candiness of it and the style.
Yeah, no, it's good. I don't know. I kind of said it. I think I'll stick with what I said. I really like the just the whole thing inside the sewer system of that giant building, which had a very Matrix-esque vibe to it. The inner workings, it was just so massive, man. And I liked that whole sequence was great. With the patrol cart finding them in the battle and then getting one of their own, grabbing one of the patrol carts and skidoo patrol carts.
Yeah.
And doing that, I really enjoyed that sequence. And the Tetsuo in the street sequence too was cool. You kind of get the political unrest, you get more of that, and then you get, Tetsuo and, kind of getting a little bit of a grip on his power and grabbing the cape. I like it.
Yeah, and the stopping the tank around totally inspired the Matrix bullet stop stuff.
Matrix.
No doubt about it.
Are those just all Matrix deaths right there? Or
yeah.
Is there only one?
That's the second one, but I'm happy to take it because it definitely inspired.
Just dive right into the chasm.
Yeah, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, no, I dropped it as well.
Did you?
Well, both of you. Lemurs, apparently.
Yeah, just straight off the cliff. The bit where you were just talking about the sewer scene, I wanted to it reminded me of that earlier kind of whatever T2 drainage culvert scene where Kay shoots the dude in the head. I really liked her horror at having to kill one of the cops and how she's like, don't do it. And then like it just pops the side of his face off. Like it's just the right amount of violence to kind of showcase just how horrible it would be. Like it was just a really interesting little sequence there too.
Yeah, and then Kaneda being like, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Just forget about it. That's what they say. It'll be fine.
Can we go get drinks?
Hey, you want to go do this? You want to? Yeah. Like immediately like trying to change the subject to like getting laid or, like whatever the hell it is trying to do. Pretty funny. We've talked about a bunch of stuff. The whole opening sequence is just amazing. It's probably my favorite thing about the whole movie. Really.
Yeah.
And that is what locks me in for the rest of it. And it's what's kept me watching it.
Yeah, I agree.
All this time. And being patient with the story and trying to figure out what's going on and learning new things each time. As many will know, I have not showed the same kind of patience with other movies that are vague.
Or slow, yeah.
True.
I was going to say, so going into like bits and bobs kind of things and the little details and things that are cool in the movie. One of my favorite things is like when they all suit up with the heavy weather gear and they take that weird diagonal elevator down to Akira's like little, frozen tomb. Like that whole diagonal elevator thing is like I know I've encountered it several times in video games.
Dude, yeah. It's such a trope now. I wonder if it all comes from this.
I think it must all come from there, and I kind of realized it this time, which made me love it. And then just like the lore around Akira and like the batshit crazy thing of like, you know, like I'm pretty science oriented, and I'm not a fan of like the, you know, oh well, the scientists are just tampering with shit that they don't understand and blah 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 blah. Like I really fucking hate that trope because it's just it gives anti-science people a lot of leeway
And gas. Yeah, I agree.
and gas, which it pisses me off. But despite that, like I just the iconography of like the weird little vessels with like parts of Akira, and you know, and then like in the end, like Akira coming back and he's sort of like this like anatomy diagram, you know, like, you know, versus the other kids. There's just something really bizarre and cool about that whole thing. Like, and you know, so yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. The I don't remember the details of it, but Akira comes back in the manga, and it's like he is a demigod and kind of rules Earth with Tetsuo as his sidekick for like a good part of the manga. So it's interesting how they ended up going with a you know psychedelic-y kind of higher plane of consciousness ending here.
Yeah, I mean, like if you ever seen what was this guy's name? Alex something, who does like all this psychedelic artwork that's very like anatomical. You know, like all the people, like you can like see like it's totally a psychedelic artwork, but like there's a lot of people in them, and all the people are like you can see like right through their skin to their musculature to their skeleton to their internal organs, all of that stuff, and there's all these like crazy like, you know, way lines and like light and different things going through it. So like the way they manifested Akira at the end of the movie kind of reminded me of that. I thought it was really
it fits,
neat, you know. Yeah,
it totally fits with their kind of conversations about energy and the amoeba kind of stuff, and it really fits quite well with that whole space.
Alex Gray.
There you go. I'll look him up. I'm not familiar with. I probably have seen the stuff.
I just ejected to get that because that was important. I couldn't let Alex Gray slip for a mention. It wouldn't be fair.
Any other bits? I don't know if I do. Good movie. I liked it. The Tokyo Olympic stuff's kind of interesting, funny. That it was like,
yeah, that's bizarre.
And then they had to cancel it, and there's protests to cancel it, and now there is protests to cancel it. It's just kind of interesting.
Yeah, I went to the smoke the protester in the police station that like pulls the pin on the smoke bomb.
Yeah,
and then he like proceeds to get clobbered by the cops afterwards.
Totally. And then it implied that it blew up later too when they were outside. I think that was the same one, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
That was funny.
Well, I mean, you know, the dude's like for the revolution or whatever, and he pulls the pin and like smoke comes out of it. He's like, oh fuck, and then he just gets like clobbered by the cops.
Yeah, my favorite bit about that too is he gets clobbered by the cops, and then the cops have this like subtle. They're all like smiling at each other and like, yeah, that was fun, you know, animated mannerisms, which I kind of like too. Yeah, it's cool. It was really funny because if I was one of those cops, I would have done the same thing. To be fair. Nuggets stats ratings.
Indeed.
I have no nuggets. The best one I had was that nugget about the frames and the individual drawings and such.
Oh yeah, yep.
That's a good one. It's actually a really good nugget.
I mean, all this. I'm just pulling this stuff off IMDb. It's not nothing crazy.
I mean, you know, it's not like any of us. It's not like any of us have ever gone and like hunted through an archive of files to, you know,
that's it.
Find any nuggets we've ever made. They've all come from the internet.
Yeah. Well, we're doing the work for the folks at home, and it's fine.
We're reading IMDb, so you don't have to.
Yeah. So I'll just drop one last one. It's more like another stat one. This is like a really record-breaking film on a lot of fronts. Budget and the stuff I mentioned before about the drawings and the colors. And one of the other ones too that I thought was interesting was that it was one of the first Japanese anime films to have the characters' voices recorded before they were animated.
That's weird.
Now, this was the typical practice in the U.S., but in Japan, the animation is generally produced first, which makes, to me anyway, having been an actor, like that makes logical sense. I don't know why you would record the voices first. That seems so stupid, but
Yeah.
Anyway, kind of
It's
interesting.
confusing, but it's interesting that one whole, industry does it in one culture and not in the other.
I know, right?
Right.
Anyway, that's my nug.
I feel like it'd be a lot harder to draw to a vocal track than it would be to voice act to a animated visual track.
Oh my God, totally.
But whatever. I've got two
What do you got, dude?
nuggets.
Sure.
One of the weird things about this viewing for me is I was confused by the English dub because it was different than the dub I watched when I was younger. I didn't realize they did a whole nother dub.
Yep.
But the voice actor that played Kaneda in the original English dub is the same guy that voiced Leonardo in the Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Whoa, that's weird.
Huh.
It has nothing to do with the dub I watched this time around, but I like it. I kind of like that Leonardo was...
I like the connection there.
it's
Yeah,
cool.
I just listened to that episode of ours and
The
started
Turtles
hating
episode.
the turtles all over again.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
One of the things I watched before the show was a YouTube comparison of like the original 80s dub and the 2001 dub.
Oh, cool.
And the 2001 dub is definitely a little more tight.
Yeah, I ended up watching like the first 10, 15 minutes with the subs on, and
A little less goofy. Yeah.
it was super tight. I know we've had the subs conversation before, but one of the things I've noticed in a lot of anime is the subs tend to be a lot more accurate translations, whereas the English dub tends to be like very, I don't know, they take liberties with
Totally.
it. But with this particular one, it was pretty much bang on, so I just switched to the audio.
I like it.
Send that video through, Benny. I'd be curious to check it out.
I will.
Me too.
Second nugget, the computer sounds that can be heard during Tetsuo's body scan were taken from the mother computer in Alien.
Ooh, I like that.
That's such a great computer.
Yeah, and that's a great nugget right there.
It's
Okay.
like the ultimate computer. It's like a computer's computer. You know,
Kind of like the
it's
Whopper.
It's got the old school interface and the CRT green matrix color scheme. But it's also got a weird room with lights in it.
As you do.
You have to sit down in a special chair to talk to it.
Yes. All right, deaths are Ben had a ScarJo death for mentioning using the phrase. Well, just that ScarJo is annoying.
For you specifically for using, it's a new death apparently if you say ScarJo.
Yep.
I like it.
And then Chad, I don't know why you had to drag it through hell and talk about ScarJo's
Black
appearance
Beauty.
in Black Beauty. That was great.
Yep.
And then I wished for a death when it was posited that there would be a live action movie shot in New York of Akira.
Mm-hmm.
So Chad, you had a Matrix, then you had a Spinal Tap death, then I forgot you had a Spinal Tap death, and that made me have a death, and that was good. And then we had
You forgot I had a Spinal Tap death 30 seconds after I had that death.
That was the best part about it. And then we had our obligatory Star Wars death, and then I had a Matrix death, and then you had another Matrix death.
Matrix all the way down.
That's what I got. That's it. Matrix all the way to the bottom.
I had an injection death for
Ooh.
Alex Gray. And then
Damn it, you're right.
I also
missed
made a
that.
Matrix reference to the computer screen of Mother.
Damn it, dude. Off my
All I have to say
death
about that,
tally.
Benny, is
I'm off my death tally game. That gives me another death.
See, I die. You guys just don't notice it.
not like this.
Not like this.
Not like this.
Not in her sailor suits.
Oh my god.
I wanted to see a mashup of those two scenes.
That's a mashup right there.
Whew.
Okay. Ratings.
Ratings.
What do you give a movie like this? This movie is the Blade Runner of like animated movies, and it came out just 6 years after Blade Runner. I would give this movie an A+. And by A+, I mean I'm going to give it a 9.5. There's a couple things that were a little wonky, but man, it's almost not nice to bitch.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I'm on that motorcycle, dude. This movie is a legendary film. It is, in my algorithm, the greatest anime movie of all time. It is a 9.4.
God damn.
Damn.
It is beaten by Blade Runner, which also has a 9.4, and it beats The Godfather Part 2, which also has a 9.4.
Damn it. Wow.
Holy shit.
It's a fucking excellent film. I buy the plot weakness, the kind of story confusion elements, especially kind of the ending, kind of like wrapping up to the fucking rapture where they're all energy beings now or whatever the fuck.
Right.
But I kind of am forgiving of that because of just how groundbreaking it is as a film, and it really is just like it is up there, animated or not, in the pantheon with a Blade Runner. It doesn't beat Blade Runner, but it is up there.
That's excellent. I am a huge fan of animation in general, and this is way up there on the pantheon of animated movies. It is transcended into the realm of film. It is just so well done. My algorithm rating would be, it's absolutely as cool as the movie poster looks.
I like it.
Like, this is one of those ones where like you could just pick it up in a video store, and if it looks cool to you, you're probably gonna fucking like it. I'm gonna echo it. 9.5.
Nice.
Wow.
Outstanding. Yeah.
Nice.
We're very aligned on this one, dudes.
Yeah, this rarely happens.
We're all on the same motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
I said it last week when I announced this, but another shout out to Pyburn for recommending we check this one out.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Batman hungry.
Legendary listener, John Pyburn.
Good stuff. What are we doing next week, Michael Bublazard?
Next week, heroes aren't made, they're airborne.
Well, that sounds great. I'm excited for that. Algo Chad. Folks, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Akira, and we'll see you on another time. So long now.
See ya.
Ciao.
Thanks for joining us for this episode. Folks, you can find the show notes for this episode in your podcast app of choice, or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/112. If you'd like to support the show, there's a number of great ways you can do it. You can tell your friends to check out the show. You can also rate and review us on your podcast place of getting podcasts, or you can support us on Patreon. That's right, patreon.com/EBD podcast. Hey, check it out. Throw us a couple of pennies. As always, follow us on social media. Folks, you can find us on all social media channels using the handle @EBD podcast. So please come join in on the conversation. We'd love to have you. Gosh darn it. Thanks for tuning in for Akira. Stay tuned next week for Airborne. And we'll see you next time, folks. So long. Hey, Capshaw!
It's not a deep nerd nugget kind of thing. It's like a very surface, easy, like the never ending story when he passes between the two Sphinx tits. I was convinced they shot the laser beams out of their tits because I hadn't seen it in a really long time, but they didn't. They come out of their eyes.
Yeah, boob lasers.
Yeah, they should come out of the boobs.
Boob lasers.
Didn't get 2 for how what? Oh, you just got boob lasered.
You just got boob lasered, man.
Michael Bublazer?
I like that. Michael Bublazer. There you go. Oh, that's even deeper.
Michael Bublazer.
Your name for the show, your name this week, Chad, is Michael Bublazer.